you know, I want to get into this because this is I think this is a fascinating thing with you personally. Your diet. You're on this carnivore diet now.
Okay, so I want to preface that with something. I am not a dietary expert, so I'm now speaking as an uninformed citizen.
Yes.
Right.
Well, this is anecdotal evidence from a human being that has dealt with autoimmune issues your whole life.
Yes.
You have done this for how long now?
I've been on a pure carnivore diet for about 2 months and a very, very low carb, greens only, modified carnivore diet for about a year.
So in the year...
And a low carb diet for 2 years.
So from the time that I've known you for what, 2.5 years now, something like that?
Yeah.
When I first met you, you had much more weight on your body.
Yeah.
You looked different.
Yeah.
And you were, back then you were eating like the standard diet, right? Like normal people do.
Yes.
Pasta, bread, meat, chicken, whatever.
Yes.
Right? You shifted over to only meat and greens. I saw you and I'm like, you look fantastic. I'm like, what are you doing? And you're like, I changed my diet. I only eat meat and greens. And I was like, wow, that's fascinating. Well, I felt like, okay, what you're doing is cutting out refined sugars and all these different things that are problematic, preservatives, all the bullshit, processed foods, and you're having this extreme health benefit. And I was like, wow, that's really excellent. You're showing great discipline. Then you decided to take it to another place and cut out the greens.
Yeah, I know.
What was the motivation for cutting out the greens?
Well, all of the motivation for this has been my experience with my daughter because she has an unbelievably serious autoimmune disease. I just talked to her this morning.
What is it called?
Well, it's arthritis, but there's way more to it than that. But the arthritis was the major set of symptoms. She had 40 affected joints, and she had to have her hip replaced and her ankle replaced when she was 15 and 16. And so she basically hobbled around on 2 broken legs for 2 years in extreme agony. And that was just a tiny fraction of the whole set of problems. I just talked to her this morning. She's in Chicago. Looks like she has to have her ankle replacement replaced. So that's next on the horizon. But apart from that, she is doing so well now. It is absolutely beyond comprehension. So she's very trim. She had a baby, but she's very trim. She's down to about 118 pounds. She's about 5'6". She's just glowing with health. All of her autoimmune symptoms are gone, all of them. And she was also seriously depressed, like severely depressed, way worse than you think. She couldn't stay awake for more than about 6 hours without taking Ritalin. And she was dying. And I had a cousin, my cousin's daughter, she died when she was 30 from an associated autoimmune condition. So there's a fair bit of this in our family. It was bloody bleak, I'll tell you. And my wife always had a suspicion that this was dietary related, you know. And
why?
Well, we did notice that when Michaela was young, if she ate oranges or strawberries, that she'd get a rash. Like there were, and then when she developed arthritis, if she ate oranges in particular, that would definitely cause a flare. It was the only thing we could see. The problem is that in order to identify a dietary component, the response has to be pretty quick after you eat the thing. Like if it's 2 days later, how the hell are you going to figure that out? Right. A lot of these responses appear to be delayed for 4 days and last a month. So good luck figuring that out. Anyways, Michaela noticed about 3 years ago, no more than that now, 5 years ago, she was at Concordia University and struggling with her illness and all the associated problems. She noticed that around exam time, she was starting to develop real skin problems. And my cousin's daughter, who I mentioned, had really bad skin problems and wounds that wouldn't heal. And that was partly part of the process that eventually killed her. And she thought, oh, it must be stress. And then she thought, wait a second, I really changed my diet. When I'm studying, all I do is eat bagels. All I do is eat bread, sandwiches. She thought, maybe it's the bread. So she cut out gluten first. And it had a remarkable effect, like a really remarkable effect. And then she went on a radical elimination diet all the way down to nothing but chicken and broccoli. And then her symptoms started to drop off one by one. Like, and like one of the things that happened is she started to wake up in the morning. She started to be able to stay awake all day. And when you're only staying awake for 6 hours with Ritalin, staying awake all day, that's like having a life. And so a whole bunch of things improved. Then her depression went away. And I've had depression since I was 13 probably, and very severe. And I've treated it a variety of ways, some of them quite successfully. But it's been a constant battle. And my father had it, and his father had it. And it's all just rife in my family. And my wife has autoimmune problems in her.
When you say depression, define it.
How would you define it?
Because that's a blanket term.
Yeah. Well, imagine that you wake up and that you remember that all your family was killed in a horrible accident yesterday.
You would feel that even
All
if
the
nothing was
time.
wrong.
Yes, yes.
Just
It's actually
dread.
worse than that. Because,
Really?
well, one of the things Michaela told me was she thought, well, what's it like to be depressed? Well, imagine you have a dog and you really love the dog, and then the dog dies. And then about 3 years ago, our dog died. And that was Michaela's dog, and she really liked that dog. And she said, that was bad, but it's nowhere near as bad as being depressed. And I asked her, too, at one point when she was about 15 or 16, I said, look, you've got a choice, kid. Here's the choice. You can either have depression or arthritis. Which one? I'll take the arthritis. Well, that was after she'd lost 2 joints. So it was no joke. It's no joke, man. There isn't anything. No, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say there's nothing worse, because worse is a very deep hole.
Right.
But it's bad.
Yeah, people will prove you wrong, right?
Oh, yes, definitely. Worse
Yeah.
Worse is a deep hole. Anyways, her depression went away. All these symptoms went away, and like radically.
So what changed her from chicken and broccoli to carnivore?
Well, she kept experimenting, and she got very sensitive to all sorts of foods in the aftermath of that too. So this is why I wouldn't recommend that anybody does this casually, because we don't understand much about it. But the upshot was that, well, she kept experimenting, and she started to add things back and take them away. And sometimes when she added things, the results were devastating. She was like done for a month. She'd eat the wrong thing, done for a month. All the symptoms came back, the depression came back. She thought that her whole dietary theory was wrong because it lasted so long and was so extreme. And it's like it took her 2 years to figure out that really what she could eat was beef and greens, and then she figured out that she could only eat beef.
So the greens themselves.
Well, look, so what happened? Okay, so 2 years ago she said, Dad, you have to try this diet because you have a lot of the same symptoms as me. Now, I didn't have arthritis, but I had a lot of the other symptoms. And I thought, oh, Christ, okay, Michaela, I can try anything for a month. She said, try it for a month. I thought, okay, whatever. I can hang by my fingernails from the windowsill for a month. It's like, it's just not that big a deal. And so I went on a really low carb diet. Okay, so this is what happened. I had gastric reflux disorder, and I was snoring quite a lot. I stopped snoring the first week. I thought, what the hell? That's supposed to be associated with weight loss. Because I had gained some weight. I weighed about 212 pounds, and I'm about 6'1½", so that was my maximum weight. I stopped snoring, which was a great relief to Tammy. So that just quit, and that's a big deal, right? Because if you snore, you have sleep apnea, and then you don't sleep right, and it's like not a good thing. Okay, next. I started waking up in the mornings. I'd never been able to wake up in the mornings my whole life. I always had to stumble to the shower, and then maybe I could wake up. It took me an hour, and I felt terrible. And so all of a sudden I woke up, and it was like, oh, look at that. I'm awake in the morning, and I'm clear-headed, and things aren't gloomy and horrible. It's like, well, isn't that weird? Then I lost 7 pounds the first month. I thought, 7 pounds, that's a lot in a month. And I'd already gone for a whole year on a sugar-free diet, and I didn't lose any weight. And I'd been exercising.
Sugar-free, but did you cut out bread and
No,
gluten?
no, it was just no desserts, no sugar, no. And I thought that might do it. Didn't make any difference at all. 7 pounds. Well, then I lost 7 pounds the next month. Then I lost 7 pounds the next month. I lost 7 pounds every month for 7 months. It's like I had to throw away all my clothes. I went back to the same weight that I was when I was 26. And my psoriasis disappeared. And I had floaters in my right eye, and they cleared up. And then the last thing that went away for me, I was still having a bitch of a time with mood regulation, and that sucked because when I changed my diet, I didn't respond to antidepressants properly anymore. They weren't working. And so although I was getting better physically in a variety of ways, like radical ways, I was really having a bitch of a time regulating my mood, and I was having sporadic, really negative reactions to food when I ate something I shouldn't. So that took about 1.5 years to clear up, and I was still really anxious in the morning up to 3 months ago, like horribly, and then it would get better all day. People said, well, you're under a lot of stress, and I thought, yeah, I've been under a lot of stress for like 10 years. It's like, it's a lot, but it wasn't any more stressful than helping my daughter deal with her illness, that's for sure. That, no, this is something different. And she said to me, quit eating greens. And I thought, oh, really? Jesus, Michaela, I'm eating cucumbers, lettuce, broccoli, and chicken and beef. It's like I have to cut out the goddamn greens? It's like, try it for a month. Okay. Within a week, I was 25% less anxious in the morning. Within 2 weeks, 75%. And I've been better every single day. I'm better now probably than I've ever been in my life. And I haven't been taking antidepressants for a whole year. So I don't know what, and I weigh 162 pounds. Like I have no, and I've actually gained musculature. I've been doing some working out, but not a lot. And so I can sleep 6 hours a night, no problem. I wake up in the morning, I'm awake. If I take a 15-minute nap, that used to take me an hour to recover from, that's gone. Here's the coolest thing. I've had gum disease since I was 25. That's been serious enough to have, I've had to have minor surgical interventions, scraping and that sort of thing to keep it at bay. It's gone. I checked with my dentist before this last tour. No inflammation. And that's associated with heart disease, by the way, gum inflammation and gingivitis. It's a good risk factor for heart disease. It means the systemic inflammation is gone. And it's not supposed to happen. You're not supposed to recover from gingivitis. And my gums are in perfect shape. It's like, what the hell? So here's what happened. I lost 50 pounds. It's like, that's a lot, right? I'm nowhere near as hungry as I used to be. My appetite's probably fallen by 70%. I don't get blood sugar dysregulation problems. I need way less sleep. I get up in the morning and I'm fine. I'm not anxious. I'm not depressed. I don't have psoriasis. My legs were numb on the sides. That's gone. I'm certainly intellectually at my best at the moment, which is a great relief, especially doing this tour. Depression is gone. I'm stronger. I can swim better. And my gum disease is gone. It's like, what the hell?
And you've done no blood work, so you don't know what your lipid profile is, or
no. I'll get that done again when I go back.
Do you
to
take any
Toronto.
vitamins?
No, no. I eat beef and salt and water. That's it. And I never cheat, ever. Not even a little bit.
No
Nothing.
soda, no wine.
I drink club soda.
Well, that's still water.
Well, you know, when you're down to that level, no, it's not.
So
Look, Joe, there's club soda, which is really bubbly. There's Perrier, which is sort of bubbly. There's flat water, and there's hot water.
So those are your varieties?
those distinctions start to become important.
That is crazy. Well, we ate last night, and I ate what you ate. We both had that giant tomahawk.
Yeah.
I had wine though.
Yeah.
I'm curious about this. I'm very curious, and I think I might try it. But I eat a lot of vegetables.
Yeah.
But I don't have any problems, like health problems.
Hey, man, like I'm not. Disclaimer number 2: I am not recommending this to anyone. However, I have had many, many people come up to me on the tour and say, "Look, I've been following your daughter's blog, and I've lost like 100 pounds." I think, what? You lost 100 pounds? Yeah, I lost 100 pounds in 6 months. I talked to a woman yesterday. She lost 15 pounds in 1 month. She was 70. It's like, this is, here's a question. Why is everyone fat and stupid? That's a question, man. Because it's new.
Is it?
Yes, it is. It's new. And it's not sedentary lifestyle. That hypothesis doesn't seem to hold water. There's something wrong with the way we're eating. And what's wrong is that we're eating way too many carbohydrates, I think. But remember, I'm no expert.
Big shift. The elimination of most carbohydrates has made a big shift in my life. And I do cheat occasionally with bread, occasionally with pasta. I will go off with ice cream and things along those lines. But most of the time, I'm just eating meat and vegetables. Most of the time. And then I'll have a cheat day, like, once a week or something like that. Especially if I go to dinner, I'll have a little pasta. And it doesn't seem to mess me up too bad, but I do feel shitty after I do it. It's like for simple mouth pleasure, I'm allowing myself to feel tired afterwards.
Tired, yeah, that's a big one, man.
Yeah.
But like really, I can go at about 6 hours of sleep now. And it's so interesting I can't believe I can wake up in the morning. Like that's never happened to me in my whole life. And when I was a kid, 13, 12, I had a bitch of a time waking up in the morning. It was just brutal. I just thought that's how it was.
This is what, again, I'm not a nutritionist either. But what's fascinating to me is I haven't heard any negative stories about people doing this.
Well, I have a negative story.
Okay.
Okay. One of the things that both Michaela and I noticed was that when we restricted our diet and then ate something we weren't supposed to, the reaction to eating what we weren't supposed to was absolutely catastrophic.
What did you do? What did you switch to? Or what did you eat, rather?
Well, the worst response, I think we're allergic to, whatever the hell this is, having an inflammatory response to something called sulfites. And we had some apple cider that had sulfites in it, and that was really not good. Like, I was done for a month. That was the first time I talked to Sam Harris.
You were done for a month?
Oh yeah, it took me out for a month. It was awful.
Really?
Yeah. So I would say,
So
look,
so this is right before this whole truth conversation with Sam Harris that got stuck in the mud. During.
I
So
think the day I talked to Sam was like the worst day of my life. Not because of talking to Sam, but it was
just physically.
Oh Jesus, I was so dead. But
So
I didn't want to not do it because
apple cider. Like what was it doing?
sulfites in it.
What was it doing to you?
Oh, it produced an overwhelming sense of impending doom. And I seriously mean overwhelming. Like there's no way I could have lived like that if that would have lasted for... See, Michaela knew by that point that it would probably only last a month. And I was like...
A month?
Yeah,
from
a month.
Fucking cider?
Oh, I didn't sleep that month. I didn't sleep for 25 days. I didn't sleep
What?
at all. I didn't sleep at all for 25 days.
How is that possible? That should
I'll tell
kill
you how it's possible. You lay in bed, frozen in something approximating terror for 8 hours, and then you get up.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, not
And
good.
this is from fucking cider. From cider.
That's what we thought. Yeah. I mean, look, again, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Okay, this is all a mystery to me. The fact that my daughter was so sick. See, the one thing that I did know, because I scoured the literature on arthritis when she was a kid, the scientific literature, and because we were interested in the dietary connection, and the only thing I could find that was reliable was that if people with arthritis fasted, their symptoms reliably went away. And that's actually a well-documented finding. But then if they started to eat again, then the symptoms came back. And I thought, well, what the hell? Does it not matter what they eat? They can't be reactive to everything. It's like, no, but they can be reactive to almost everything. And the difference between everything and almost everything, that's a big difference. And so Michaela seems to be maybe me too. And Tammy's on the same diet because she has autoimmune problems on her side of the family. And so Michaela seemed to inherit all of them.
Your skin looks better.
Oh, Jesus, Joe, I'm
This
way
is what's
better.
weird.
Yeah.
You look like more vibrant.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
Thank you, dear.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
But see, my point is that you're saying that there is problems with this diet, but that doesn't seem to be a problem with the diet. It seems a problem with deviating from the diet, that your body becomes accustomed with.
Well, one of the hypotheses that we've been pursuing, and there's some justification for this in the scientific literature, is that the reason that you lay on layers of fat is because the fat acts as a buffer between you and the toxic things that you're eating. Because fat is actually an organ. It has functions other than merely the storage of calories. And maybe when you strip out that protective layer, then you're more sensitive to what you shouldn't be eating. This is all speculative hypothesis, right? Or maybe you sensitize yourself by removing it from your constant diet. Well, I don't bloody well know.
Well, I would think it would be much more likely that, because you think about people who are alcoholics, they develop a tolerance to alcohol.
Yeah.
You get off of that, and then you have a drink, and your tolerances are shot, and then you immediately have an adverse reaction to the alcohol.
Yeah.
Same thing with marijuana.
Yeah.
When people do it all the time, your body becomes tolerant.
Well,
of it.
I think that the layering of fat on might be part of the tolerance mechanism. So it's not merely a matter of caloric intake. It's a matter of toxic caloric intake buffered by whatever it is that fat is doing as a neuroendocrine organ. But again, like I said, I'm out of my depth here. But, you know, the whole, everyone's out of their depth. The goddamn food pyramid was made by the Department of Agriculture, not the Department of Health. It wasn't predicated on any scientific studies whatsoever. We shouldn't be eating massive quantities of corn syrup. We eat way too many carbohydrates. Michaela posted a paper the other day. A doctor has successfully treated type 1 diabetes with a carnivore diet. Type 1, not type 2. So that's bloody impressive.
Yeah, it's very curious to me, because you're talking about the one adverse reaction, which is when you deviated from the diet.
Yeah.
What I'm talking about is when I read people's accounts of trying this diet, it's almost universally positive.
Yeah, I know. But again, that's the
strength
problem.
gains
Well, it's a
is a
problem with
big one.
anecdote, right? I mean,
It
I'm not
is,
just,
sure.
and it's the same with all these stories that I'm collecting as I'm touring. And, you know, lots of people have come up to me and said, look, I lost 45 pounds in the last 3 months. I think, well, it's shocking to me. I think, well, what do you make of that? And say, well, I can't believe it. Well, I couldn't believe it. 50 pounds. It's like, first of all, I didn't know I had 50 pounds to lose. You know, I thought I was maybe 20 pounds heavier than I should have been. Should have been 185, something like that. I guess that's 25 to 30 pounds. That was the maximum. I thought, no, I'm at 162 and I was at 212. So what's that? 50 pounds, yeah.
That's a lot of weight.
Jesus, I had to throw all my clothes away. I can't believe it. Well,
When I
even
saw you last
Tammy,
night, I was like, "You're so slim.
Yeah,
Like your stomach is completely flat, and this is
I'm
not
a lean, mean fighting machine, man.
and you're not an exercise fanatic. It's not like you're starving yourself. It's not like you're
No, and I'm not.
running 5 miles
That's
a
another
day.
thing I should say to people. If you want to try a diet like this, you eat enough meat and fat so you're not hungry. Okay, you can't get hungry. You're not eating enough if you're hungry. And if you're hungry, you're going to cheat, and it's going to drive you stark raving mad. The other thing that was really cool is, like, I really liked sweets. Like, I kind of lived on peanut butter sandwiches and chocolate milk. Not really, but that was my go-to food, you know, both of which were terrible for me. But after I stopped eating carbohydrates for a month, the carbohydrate cravings went away. You know, last night when we were out for dinner, somebody ordered bread pudding, and I bloody love bread pudding with caramel and ice cream. And so it was sitting there, and I could smell it, and I thought I could go all fantastic Mr. Fox on that bread pudding and just tear it down in about 15 seconds. But it wasn't as intense as a craving for a cigarette if you're an ex-smoker. It was like, well, it'd be really nice to eat that. But like, my appetite declined by about 75%, and that's been permanent. So there's a perverse thing for you. I eat way less, and now I'm not as hungry. Okay. Well, how does that make sense?
Well, you're not eating way less. You're eating way less things.
Yes.
Because you had a
Yes.
30-ounce steak last night.
Yes. I'm
Yeah,
doing
as
my
did
best
I.
not to be hungry.
Although it didn't look like it was 30
No.
ounces.
It was a small 30-ounce steak.
Well, I think it starts out 30 ounces before they cook it.
Right.
And it loses a considerable amount of
Right,
volume.
right.
It's very fatty.
Right.
But that's the other thing, too. You must have to get a lot of fat.
Yeah. Well, I eat fatty cuts of steak, and
Yeah.
Michaela is buying fat directly from the butcher store, and we cook that up, cut it into small pieces, and fry it up till it's crispy.
Wow.
It's actually quite delicious. It's
You're
not
just
bread
buying
pudding with
fat.
ice cream, but it's.
Isn't that funny? I mean,
Yeah, I know, it's so ridiculous.
Well, I want your blood profile. I want to find out what's going on with you, because one of the big misconceptions when it comes to cholesterol and saturated fat and food is that if you eat dietary cholesterol, that it affects your blood cholesterol levels. It's not. It's a super common misconception.
Well, the thing about clinical studies with diet are virtually impossible to conduct, because you just can't conduct a proper randomly distributed controlled experiment. It's too hard. So a lot of what we're trying to do is pull out information from correlations.
Right.
You can't do it.
Which is
Doesn't
one of the
work.
real problems with correlating meat with cancer and diabetes and all these different diseases, is because people are eating a bunch of shit with that meat.
Oh yeah, and they have different lifestyle profiles.
Sure.
And like, there's just endless numbers of confounding variables, and
Yeah.
you only need one confounding variable that's relevant to screw up the study.
Right.
You can't get that information with correlational studies. We try because it's impossible to do the studies. But
How many people are incredulous? I mean, how many people when they're hearing about this?
well, everybody. Well, you're not, but you're interested in this sort of thing. But they should be incredulous. Like, when people make absurd claims, it's like, oh, well, I had 50 health problems and I stopped eating everything but meat and they went away. It's like, oh, sure. It's like, yeah, well, it wasn't you dying. So,
Yeah.
and I see the results, and I know it's an anecdote. I bloody well understand that, and I'm highly skeptical about all of this. But I'm telling you, so that's why I'm telling you what happened to me and what happened to my daughter, and also what happened to my wife, because Tammy was always in good shape, and she's exercised a lot, and she reduced to the pure carnivore diet about a month ago. She lost like 12 pounds, and she was already slim. She's back to the same weight she was when she was 21. She's like 58, and she doesn't look 58. I can tell you that. So
Yeah, it's really fascinating. It's really fascinating because as a person who's studied diet for many years, I would assume that you need phytonutrients. I would assume you need vitamin supplements.
like vitamin C, for example.
Yes.
Turns out if you don't eat carbohydrates, you don't need vitamin C. Who would have guessed that?
How does that work?
I don't remember. Michaela outlined a paper for me. Vitamin C is necessary for carbohydrate metabolism. But
Yeah.
again, remember, everyone listening, I am not an expert in this field.
Right.
So, but
I want you to get your blood tested, because I think
Yeah.
if
it'd be pretty funny if it was in good shape.
yeah, it would be. And I'd like to find out what your nutrient levels are and where they're coming
Yeah.
from. I mean, how
Yeah,
much
I'm
nutrients are you
I'm
getting?
getting a little cramping in my toes from time to time, so I'm not sure about
Potassium,
or
perhaps.
magnesium. That's a
Yeah.
possibility.
Well, that's
But
all
other
easy
than
to
that-
supplement. It's very easy, which
Yeah.
is why I'm concerned about, and also minerals, I
Yeah.
mean, certain minerals you're getting from vegetables that you're probably not getting.
Yeah. Well, this is all like, look, it seems
It's not
impossible.
hard to supplement that stuff, though. Colloidal
True.
minerals, there's some mineral pills. You could take plenty of
Well, there are
supplements.
people who basically lived on meat.
Yeah.
You know, the Inuit did, the Maasai basically did. I mean, there's some supplementation, but not a lot. So,
yeah.
And apparently, if you do a carnivore diet, you're supposed to eat more organ meat, and I do some of that, but not a lot. But I can tell you, like, I'm in. Well, look, I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't producing positive results. It's not like it's fun.
Right.
I mean, for a while, well, it makes you a social pariah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, let's invite the Petersons over. Oh, yeah, they don't eat anything. Oh, we have other friends. It's like, well, that's how it works. It's not malevolence, right? It's just if you're a pain, no one invites you out. And so I'm a social pain and an ideological pain, and now I'm a nutritional pain. So it's like I have no friends.
How difficult is it when you're trying to get breakfast? Like, what do you do when you...
Well, lots of times when we're traveling, we cook. So we usually stay in places where you can cook.
Oh, okay.
But most places you can get a steak.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's mostly what we do. We've been traveling in a motorhome, and so we've been cooking in the motorhome.
Oh,
And so, and I carry beef jerky with me, which we make.
Wow.
And so, yeah.
It's crazy. You make your own beef jerky.
Well,
so
it's
no
easy. We have a
nitrates.
dehydrator, and you just basically put salt on it and throw it in the dehydrator. So that works pretty well.
You anticipate continuing this?
Well,
forever?
God, forever is a long time. I'd like to be able to eat more things, but I'm going to experiment with that very, 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 very cautiously. I'm going to add mushrooms next because maybe I could eat them.
Well, this is why I'm asking. There's positive benefits that a lot of people achieve and experience when they switch to a vegan diet.
Yeah,
and one of the things it is you get off of the standard American diet with lots of refined sugars and a lot of preservatives and bullshit, and then you find positive benefits. Chris Kresser has gone into depth about this, but then over time, the nutritional deficiencies in that start to wear on your health.
Yep.
And I'm wondering
well,
whether or not
who
you're
knows?
going to experience...
Well, it's certainly possible. Well, certainly, eventually this diet will kill me.
No, life will.
Well, you're right.
Biology will.
Yes.
Unless
science
intervenes.
It might be that for some people, a vegan diet or vegan diet is preferable. Well, certainly to a standard American diet.
Well, for sure to a standard American diet. But also there's so much biological variability.
Yeah.
You know, the things that bother some people don't bother other people at all. And that's something that we got to take into consideration.
Yeah, well, that's why I don't want to universalize from my experience. You know, but this is what's happened to me, and this is what's happened to my wife and my daughter. So, and all of it's been, well, with Michaela, it's miraculous. I cannot believe it. The last time I saw her, it made me cry. I've never seen her look like that. She looks so good. She's so healthy and so
all of her other joints are not experiencing any problems.
And she's taking no immunomodulators at all. No medication. None.
And she was on them forever.
Oh, Jesus, yes. More medication than you can shake a stick at. Methotrexate, which is basically, they use it to treat cancer. What's the cancer-treating drugs called? Whatever. I don't remember at the moment. She was on Enbrel, which really, really helped, but later open to bacterial infections, so she always had pneumonia in the fall. But Enbrel really helped. And then heavy doses of antidepressants and Ritalin, and Jesus, it was just a
how long
bloody
has she been
nightmare.
on this carnivore diet?
Oh, God, she's only been eating meat. It's got to be at least 6 to 8 months now.
Wow. And does she get blood work done?
Yep, and her blood work, I won't comment on that. I don't know the details of her blood work. So I don't know the answer to that.
It's fascinating. I'm curious. I'm considering trying it for a while. The problem is I eat so much game meat. There's not a lot of fat.
Well, get some fat.
Yeah.
That's the trick there. Try it for a month. See what happens. What the hell, a month, you know? It's just a month.
Yeah. No, a month's not hard. Yeah. Interesting.
When
did you stop teaching?
Well, oh no, I guess that's not true. That's not true. I taught from January to May of 2016. Well, the first way it changed it was that I was like so shell-shocked when I went to teach last January and I was really sick. Like I've been really sick this year. I had like last January, Jesus, it was just dismal. I wouldn't have wished that on my worst enemy. I had 3 weeks where I didn't sleep a wink. You try that. That's really entertaining. One long day of misery that's 3 weeks long.
What kind of an illness?
It looks like an autoimmune disorder.
Do you think this is because of stress?
No, I don't.
You don't think it's connected at all?
Well, Yeah, I think it probably made it worse. But no, it's something that I've battled with for a long time. And it's something that really, both my wife and I have autoimmune illness. And my daughter got...
What autoimmune illness?
Don't know exactly what it is. I don't know what it is.
Have you
In my
adjusted
daughter,
your
it
diet?
manifests... Yes. That's what's fixed it.
What fixed it?
Oh, all I eat is meat and greens. That's it. No juice, no vegetables, no carbohydrates. Meat, greens. That's it.
And that fixed it.
That seems to have fixed it.
That fixes so many people.
Well, I can
don't
tell
know
you,
if you've listened to any of the podcasts I've done.
Yeah. Well, I've been following them because my daughter has a blog too called Don't Eat That. And my daughter had a terrible autoimmune disorder. It was awful. I detailed that out in chapter 12. She had 38 affected joints. And she had her hip and her ankle replaced when she was 16.
Jesus.
So she walked around on 2 broken legs for a year in excruciating pain. She was on extremely high doses of opiates. And so she was addicted to opiates, which she just, once she had her surgery, she just went off them cold turkey and like suffered through the withdrawal for 2 months. And compared to what she had been through, that was nothing. Like what she went through, man, it was dreadful. And that was just the surface of it. Like that was only the beginning of her illness. She had all sorts of other things that were worse than that. And we figured she was probably going to die by the time she was 30 because my cousin's daughter had a similar autoimmune problem and she died when she was 30. So it was bloody dreadful. But she figured out at one point that it was associated with diet. And then she went on a radically restrictive diet. And she was on antidepressants. She's not. She had to take Ritalin to stay awake. She could only stay awake about 6 hours a day, and she had to take high doses of Ritalin to stay awake.
What is this autoimmune disease?
Well, her diagnosis was rheumatoid arthritis.
Right.
But she didn't have the blood markers for it. But she had all the other symptoms. Anyway, she figured out this restrictive diet. She only ate chicken and broccoli for about 2 months, and almost all her symptoms went away. And she's pretty much symptom-free now, and it's a complete miracle. And she convinced me to try this diet about 1.5 years ago. And so I lost 7 pounds a month for 7 months. That was the first thing, which was just bloody amazing. Yeah, it was unbelievable. It was I couldn't believe it, you know.
Was your diet rich in refined carbohydrates before that?
Rich enough.
Yeah.
Rich enough, you know.
Pastas and bread and things along those lines?
Bread in particular. I ate a lot of bread. So the first thing that happened was I quit snoring. That happened immediately. Took 1 week, and I was snoring quite badly. So that disappeared in a week. And that was amazing. I thought, oh, that's interesting. And then I had gastric reflux disorder. That went away. And then I lost 7 pounds the first month. I thought, oh, that's a lot, 7 pounds. I had psoriasis. That went away. I had floaters in my right eye, which is also an autoimmune problem. That went away. I have had gum disease for 30 years. That went away. That went away. That's amazing. I'm 55. Like, my gum disease went away. It's ridiculous. So I figured all that out. So my life in the last year was so strange, because I'd get up in the morning and I'd think, God, all these bloody scandalous things are happening around me, and I have to deal with that. And then I'd think, I need a break, but I can't eat anything. I can't eat anything because if I ate the wrong thing, it would like knock me out for a month. So I was trying to figure out what the hell was wrong with my diet, and I was feeling wretched. And so it was like it was like wolves at the back door and crocodiles at the front door, something like that. So, but whatever, like I'm down to the same weight I was when I was 25.
Wow.
Yeah, no kidding. And I've got lots of energy. I wake up in the morning and I wake up. That's never happened to me my whole life. I've always had to have a shower. It like took me an hour to wake up my whole life. That's gone. I'm not hungry. I don't have hypoglycemia. I have lots of energy. I can't eat anything, but so I can't go out for dinner.
But you can't eat nonsense. You can eat. I mean, I'm on the same diet.
I can eat meat and greens, man.
I don't have a disorder like you did in the same regard, but I take a day where I have a cheat day. And I don't even do it every week where I'll have a cheeseburger or something like that.
Yeah.
But for the most part, that's the diet that I follow as well.
Yeah. Well, for some people, it seems like
for a massive amount of people.
Well, I think for far more people than we know. I think people are carbohydrate poisoning themselves like they can't believe.
Yes, and along with all the other things that go along with it, insulin.
Yeah.
You know, all
high blood sugar is not good.
cholesterol,
Yeah.
in this idea that cholesterol and saturated fat are the problems that people are experiencing. It's not true.
No.
The real problem is sugar,
Yeah.
and cholesterol has been demonized. You know, I'm sure you read the article from the New York Times about the sugar industry.
Yep.
Paid off scientists to lie about the results.
Yep. Yep. Well, I know too that 2 food scientists in the UK resigned about 3 years ago. They were part and parcel of the organization that had produced the food pyramid. They said it was the worst public health disaster of the last 40 years. They pretty much got it backwards.
Yeah.
And you look around, you know, you drive through the U.S., it's really obvious in the U.S. is people are overweight like mad.
Like mad.
Like crazy. It's
crazy.
ridiculous.
Go to Disneyland.
Yeah, exactly.
It's insane.
It is, but you know, and the reason is, as far as I can tell, the reason is that they're poisoning themselves with carbohydrates. That's what it looks like.
And the thought process is so out of whack. I retweeted an article today from Nina Teicholz. She tweeted it about this trend of eating only egg whites and how terrible it is for you. It's a health disaster. And this idea that cholesterol from the egg yolk is bad for you. It's one of the most important things you can eat. And then Weight Watchers has adjusted. Yeah, see, it goes, Weight Watchers diet program now adjusts their protocol, and they say that eat all the eggs you want. It is now a 0-point food, which is fucking incredible.
Yeah. So, and the way I don't get hungry is I eat a lot of oil, like a lot of olive oil.
Yes.
So, and that keeps
fats.
Yep.
So you're basically burning fat. You're on like a ketogenic diet. Yeah.
So, and it seems to be, well, and that was that would have been complicated enough to keep me occupied for the last 2 years, especially sorting it out with my daughter, because that was quite the bloody nightmare, I can tell you. It was really something. But I can't believe she figured it out.
It's amazing.
It is amazing. And like, she's in pretty damn good shape. She just had a baby like 5 months ago, so that was a good
amazing.
miracle too. Yeah, we're stunned, man. We're stunned because like it was rough.
Well, she sounds like an incredibly extreme example.
She is quite the tough cookie, that girl.
She sounds like it.
Yeah.
Many people are experiencing the same revelation that their diet is killing. Look, I was tired all the time. I would hit a nap. I mean, I was always very, very active, so I stayed lean because of my physical activity. But by the end of the day, I need a nap.
Yeah.
I would always take a nap before I'd go to jiu-jitsu. I was
Yeah.
like, I have to take a nap or I can't train.
It was
And
the
it was
same with
because
me.
of carbohydrates.
Yeah, I'd nap about 2 hours a day.
Yeah.
And now I don't nap at all.
Me too.
Well,
Same thing.
That's not exactly true. When I've been zooming around, I take like 2-minute naps when I'm in the airport or whatever.
Well,
But
that's also, you're probably not getting enough sleep.
yeah, right, exactly.
Big difference. Yeah.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
it's been remarkable.